So I'm just going to address some things here. George here made a comment on a video. I'm trying to stay in the loop here. But George made a comment on my video about how yesteryear's equipment can't keep up with today's equipment. And if you think you're going to compete with people with yesteryear's equipment to today, with people who have full arsenals of modern day equipment and technology, you're fooling yourself. So George says, lay a ball out with your PAP. What if a person uses multiple hand positions? That changes your axis. Then what? It does change your axis. Well, I mean, your tilt's not going to change much. Your rotation will change. Like, that's the whole point of changing your axis. That's the whole point of changing your hand position, is to change the ball roll. And I must not have seen the comment right away, but he says, when you're right, JR refuses to respond. In fact, I actually choose to respond to the ones that are really wrong because I want to make sure there's no misinformation out there. So once I finally saw this, I commented. And the dude really, I said, dude really, as in the refuses to respond thing. Since when do I ever shy away from people when it comes to stuff like this? But anyway, I said your axis barely changes with different hand positions, meaning your axis tilt. I should have clarified that. Axis tilt. Most people can't change your axis tilt by more than a degree, not even. So, but that's the whole point of changing your hand, is to change the reaction. And he says, you know that's BS. You just won't admit when you're wrong. I've done the testing on this. I've checked my axis based on, I actually did a video on it. Checked my axis based on rolling it more forward, and checked my axis, my positive axis, based on if I'm trying to get my hand around it. And the change was less than a half an inch. Like, your positive axis really doesn't change much. Or really at all when it comes to that. And that little bit it does change, it's not going to make a difference as far as the layout goes. It is, I mean, I guess if you're next to an extreme, it's possible. Like if you've got a 6-inch layout and you change your hand to where now it's 6.5 inches, you're teetering on that scale of, is it going to be inverted then type of thing, you know? Or if you're a 3.5-inch pen and you change your axis to where now all of a sudden it's a 3-inch pen, it's going to straighten the ball out a little bit. Sure. I mean, then it would make a little bit of a difference there. But the whole idea behind changing, maybe this person meant axis rotation is what they're talking about, not axis point, but he mentioned PAP in the beginning. So not really sure. If you're talking PAP, that doesn't really change much at all, no matter what your hand position is. Axis tilt, you're not going to get it to change. Maybe some of the best bowlers in the world can change it a couple of degrees, but not much. Axis rotation, you can comfortably, most people, axis rotation, you can comfortably change your hand or change the rotation by maybe 30 degrees up and down. So if you're at 45 degrees, that's probably perfect, because then you can get up to 75 degrees and you can get down to like 15 degrees. But if you're somebody that is 15 degrees with your hand, you're going to have a hard time getting it way up to the 70-degree mark. I mean, without making yourself uncomfortable. That's the whole point. You want to be able to be comfortable and still be able to repeat shots.